Hi guys, this is Mr. Assassin and I'm doing my first Hunter x Hunter review. I am a big fan of Hunter x Hunter and the new chapter just came out. I mean, it came out yesterday, but I didn't have time for a review. We didn't have a chapter of Hunter x Hunter for 2 years now. At first, Togashi Yoshihiro was sick. Then he had other projects with the Hunter x Hunter movies and everything else. I don't know. It doesn't matter because right now we have a chapter, and in my opinion, it's a very good chapter of Hunter x Hunter. Even though it doesn't have a lot of action in it, it has a lot of exposition and a lot of information about the new Dark Continent. So, for those of you who don't remember the last chapters of the manga, uh, the Zodiac 12 had a meeting. They had an election to see who will take Chairman Netero's place, and after the election, which was won by what was his name? I can't remember. Just a moment. Yeah, Pariston won the elections, but then he quit actually, and he left somebody else in charge because he just wanted to do his number in a way. He just wanted to get everyone riled up. Well, anyway, after the new chairman was elected, they received a transmission, a TV transmission from the chairman's son beyond Netero, which wanted to go to explore the Dark Continent. And of course, every time somebody goes to the Dark Continent, calamity happens. For example, the Chimera ends in the last arc were Calamity, and you all know how powerful the king became. The king almost destroyed, not destroyed, but enslaved the entire world if Chairman Entero didn't sacrifice himself. So you kind of wonder if an end from the Dark Continent can do that. What other creatures are there, and what are their powers? And this chapter explains, well, I mean, it doesn't explain, but it gives us an insight into other creatures that inhabit the continent. So to explain it better, let's think about it. When the Chimera and the Queen first was washed up on the shore of that island, I don't remember the name. She was badly hurt, and she actually did say, "How can somebody like him, quotes, how can somebody like him do this to me? Do so much damage to me?" And you have to think who could be that powerful to do that damage, and and what you must realize is the queen herself didn't have Nen. She didn't have a Nen ability. It was after she started eating humans and humans who had Nen that the Chimera ants actually learned Nen. So we don't know how strong exactly the queen was. In my opinion, she wasn't that strong. I think she could have been somewhere on Gon's level, Gon when he first came to the continent, right after the fight with the Raider on the Grid Island. So that's where I put her. I don't think she was that strong with only physical capabilities, but once they learn Nen, uh, we all know how powerful the king became. And that's another thing. their ability to adapt, the ability to learn. Uh, that was the most strongest trait, to be honest. I mean, Gon and Killua are considered to be talents, very fast learners. For their age, they are not supposed to have the power they are having. And we all saw what Gon can do when he matures. And I don't know how many years he grew up when he was fighting Pito, but I think 10, maybe 15 years, and he's like a kid now. I don't know how old is he, but basically around 27 to 40 years. That's how strong he's going to get if he continues on this path. And we could say that he was as strong as Chairman Netero. At 30 years, Gon was as strong as Chairman Netero, and Chairman Netero had 100 and something years. So Gon's potential is limitless. But then again, he is the main character, so we're supposed to have that kind of growth. But he and Killua were talents, and the Chimera Ant simply just splits them in evolution. I mean, in 3 months, the king only had 3 months, and he was able to learn Nen. He was able to learn all the strategies that he learned. He was an exceptional fighter, not only in power but in mind as well, which is a very scary thing. So even though the queen didn't have men to begin with, uh, she had the she had the capability to learn very very fast. And this is my first point, and I will come back to this once we discuss the new chapter. So what should I do? Let me start let me start to talk about the new chapter, and then I will give you all my thoughts. So basically, in today's world, there are 5 continents, V5. That's what I understand. 5 continents, which are populated by humankind, and then there is the Dark Continent, which is forbidden by the 5 continents. The 5 continents united united and created an organization named V5, which is supposed to keep anyone from going into the Dark Continent. And that is because a few hundred years ago, when they went to the Dark Continent, a lot of calamities happened and they nearly wiped out the humankind. So it is forbidden to go there. But they do have a very meticulous process of selecting who goes there, and the process is so ridiculous that almost no one is able to go to the Dark Continent, and that's the point, not to let anyone go there. Okay, so in the beginning of the chapter, we see this fat short guy. I don't know who he is, but we also see another guy near him. He is an administrator, and he is newly appointed. And the shorter guy is telling him about the selection process for the people who go to the Dark Continent, and how nobody could go there, and also how the situation with the K-King, I don't know if it's a continent or a country. I think it's a country. I'm not sure what continent. Anyway, K-King, let's say, is the country from where the Netero wants to lead the expedition into the Dark Continent. So right now, K-King is bypassing all their tests, all their measures they have in place to select people, and simply bringing along anyone they want to the dark continent, and that is going to turn out bad in my opinion. But for them it is a very important issue to stop kicking and to stop the Undertale, of course, for going there. We find out that these guys with the V5 organization have a voyage information database, which basically follows up with everything, with politics, with societies, how societies goes, with changes in plants and animals, with climate changes, with the natural conservation levels, I mean population levels, and they track everything down and they create an index. So they can keep this index, they can keep the population, how should I say this, in balance. Yes, exactly. They can keep the population in balance so they can function at the lower risk level, at the best, in the best possible way. I started there moment. So basically, they track everything down, they create an index, and they keep the population in balance. And right now, kicking is upsetting that balance, the balance of the world, the human world. So they need to stop it. Now, this guy, sorry, I got something in my. This guy is the shorter guy saying that if Pianeta actually makes it to the Dark Continent, then they would have to open Pandora's box, and he basically takes the new administrator to an underground facility where they have all sorts of mutilated bodies, and it's really grotesque in a way. And he tells the administrator that these bodies are all the people who ventured into the new world. But I mean, the way I understand it is that they stepped on the Dark Continent, but they didn't go in exploration. They came back and they died in the human world. Now the team that went exploring the Dark Continent, they never recovered them. So they never recovered the bodies of the team that went into the Dark Continent. But these guys, just by stepping on the Dark Continent and then coming back to the new world, they still died in these very grotesque ways. And they have no idea why. And now we also learned that there is a book, like a journal, for the team that explored the Dark Continent, and for a very long time it was treated as a fairy tale. It wasn't regarded as truth. But then again, you have to ask yourself if the book is now in the human world, and this is the most important part. If they have the book, the journal of the exploration in the human world, then obviously somebody went into the Dark Continent, made a journal while he or she was exploring, and then brought it back into the human world. So we don't know who that is. We don't know who that is. It could be Bianetto, because we later find out that Bianetto went into exploration of the Dark Continent, but didn't have any success. But I'll get to that part. Anyways, the administrator now has to read this book and from cover to cover and embed everything into his mind so he can calculate the risk for them if they send another team in there. What could happen? The last thing they see in that underground facility is a hunter who has been to the Dark Continent. Again, we don't know how far he got into the Dark Continent, but when he came out of there, he was he basically has no brain function. I mean, they don't say he has no brain function, but he cannot speak. He cannot speak, and his face just looks like he's very horrified. And we find out that he didn't hasn't eaten anything for over 50 years, so he's self-sufficient. He can live forever. He has a virus that allows him to live forever. And I know people want to say that he's a zombie, especially with the last page of the chapter. I'll get to that. I have a theory about that, but let's progress and I'll talk about it later. We also find out that there is a gate between the human world and the Dark Continent, and this gate has a new gatekeeper. This is essential because it clearly says that the new gatekeeper doesn't like rude persons, but he's new, the new gatekeeper. So obviously there was an old gatekeeper that was either fired, but you know, people in this position don't get fired. People that powerful that are guarding the Dark Continent don't just simply get fired. They most likely got killed. Because you have to wonder, how the hell did the Chimera Ant came out of the Dark Continent if there was a gatekeeper? So somebody killed the gatekeeper. That's my theory. That's only my opinion. Somebody killed the gatekeeper, opened the gates to the Dark Continent, and then the Chimera Ant came out. Probably they had a fight, or she could have had a fight with the gatekeeper. I don't know. Maybe she killed the gatekeeper and got injured in the fight. There are possibilities, but this guy is new. This guy that guards the gate to the Dark Continent right now, he's a new guy. So you can speculate on that. Okay. Now we jump into the 10 zodiacs. I'll call them the 10 zodiacs because Paristan and King Godfather have already resigned and have left the zodiacs, and the zodiac decides to the 10 zodiacs decide to watch the second CD of Chairman Adele, and Chairman Adele basically explains that his son was part of a team a few years back. His son was part of the team that was trying to explore the Dark Continent. He didn't have any success, and when he came back, probably that's how he got the scar. Beyond Netero, that's how he got the scar. I'm just saying. But when he came back from the Dark Continent, he was forbidden by Netero, by his father, to ever go back there until he died. So what do you know? When Chairman Netero died, Beyond Netero was fuck it, going there, of course. And he's really serious about this. But Chairman Netero also said that the power he gained, that he stepped into the Dark Continent two times, and the power he gained in there was different because in his life he was trying to become more powerful and test his power on stronger opponents, but in the Dark Continent that is not the case. It takes all the power you have just to survive in the environment. So you can realize what's going on there. If Chairman Netero, he took all his power just to survive. Yeah, like going and kill, I have no chance, and I don't think they will be going to the Dark Continent. I actually think we will be following Git if he goes to the Dark Continent, and that's exactly what the Zodiacs are arguing about too. who would be stupid enough to go into the dark continent without training? And voila, Yin comes to everyone's mind. Okay, but let's return to Chairman Netero. He basically tries to tell the Hunters Associations, that they must form a team to go to the Black Continent, and they must have greater success that his son is going to have. Because, and this is my opinion, the Hunter Association is an honorable association. We saw that Chairman Netero gave his life for the peace of the human world and for the next generations. So whatever they find in the Dark Continent, whatever power they gain in there, if the hunters have it, they will use it wisely. But if Beyond Netero has that power, well, we don't know, but he looks evil as fuck, so we just don't know. And I think that's the motivation that the Chairman Netero, the old man, had when he made his DVD and tried to convince the association to form a team to explore the Dark Continent. Well, of course, while the Zodiacs were debating if they can even go to the Dark Continent, because Beyond Netero had years and years to train for this, and they just learned about it, so they are in no position to go in there. Everybody is debating. They received a phone call, and that phone call was, of course, from Beyond Netero, which comes in the organization, the Hunter organization, and he surrenders himself. But he wants something in exchange. What that something is, we don't know. But I'm guessing we'll find out in the later chapters. And then we jump to the last part, which, in my opinion, is the most interesting part of the chapter. We go back to the administrator, which was reading the book which was considered a fairy tale until a few years ago, and he's reading the book and the journal, and it seems that the team that explored the Dark Continent went in there and brought out 5 calamities, and each calamity comes in its own form and shape. Like the first one, it's named the True Protector of the Mysterious Ancient Ruins, the Unidentifiable Sphere, the Weapon Brand. And it's like a guy with a sphere on his head. And I gotta hand it to Togashi. This guy really looks strong. It has that eerie look to him. I mean, out of the 5, he's probably the one I'm most intrigued about. The second one is the desire to codependent gas life forms AI, and I don't know if that AI comes from artificial intelligence. Who knows? The third one is deceiver of all hope, endless despair, the immortal sickness. That's the last one, the immortal sickness Zombai. I'll talk about that one later. The third one was the apparition of murderous contagious, the two-tailed snake Hellbear. And the snake doesn't look that powerful or that big, but we don't know, because Ging, in the last chapters, Ging told Gon that there are trees in the Dark Continent that grow out of the atmosphere, and their roots are embedded into volcanoes, and they extract the energy out of the magma of the earth. So there are huge trees, and when you see that snake on that branch, you don't know how big is the branch. So you don't know how big is the snake. It could be a branch the size of a country if the trees are that big. We don't know. And there was another one, pleasure and life exchanging human feeding beast pup. And this is the most yielding. I mean, I still give the number one to Brad, but Papu is in second place because he's killing people, he's draining the life force out of people, and it gives them pleasure in exchange. And you can see people are withering away and they're smiling about it. So fuck it, fuck it. That's a fucked up creature. Anyways, the last one I wanted to talk about, Deceiver of Hope, Endless Despair, the Immortal Sickness combined. And when you look at the guy in the laboratory that hasn't been fed for 50 years and he's still living, and they said he has a virus that won't allow him to die, and this guy, his name is Zombie. People say that the guy in the laboratory is a zombie. I don't know about that, could be, but I think Togashi will prepare something even better for us in the future. Deceiver of all hope, endless despair. Who knows? Who knows? But I think that this guy is going to be probably the most interesting after war. And of course, Brian, a sphere, the unidentifiable sphere, because he's the protector of ancient ruins. So there are ancient ruins in the Dark Continent, and he's a weapon, the weapon Brian. So whoever lived in the Dark Continent, it could be human, it could be something else, but whoever lived in there created this weapon Brian. Then we have the desire to call opponents gas life forms, artificial intelligence. So these things could have been created somehow. We have a weapon, we have artificial intelligence, we have a virus that will not allow anyone to die, we have a contagious snake. I mean, all of this can be genetically manipulated and created into a laboratory. And now basically that's the entire chapter. But now I want to have a short discussion because this movie is already long as it is, about the nano classes, and I'll have the nano description somewhere here. I don't know, I'll place them after the movie. But the classes are basically, let's remind everyone, enhancer, which which increases and reinforces natural abilities. We have the emitter, which shoots out projects its aura. The transmuter that changes quality of aura. The manipulator controls objects or living things. The conjurer materializes an object out of aura, so creates objects out of aura. And of course the specialist, which has a unique aura. And in certain cases, someone can become a specialist, someone from another category can become a specialist later in life. So he starts up as one of the 5, and then he becomes a specialist. And let's think about it. Gon is an enhancer, Vogin was an enhancer, and they are pretty simple because they basically enhance the body power. An emitter. Now we know that Gon can use paper and he can fire his aura, but he's not very good at it. Another emitter, I don't think we saw one. I don't think we did. Maybe no. No, I don't think we ever saw an emitter. A transmuter changes the quality of aura, that's skill 1. A conjurer was the guy with the vacuum cleaner. She materializes stuff, she creates stuff out of aura. Or a manipulator was the guy with the cell phone. You remember from the Phantom Troop that can manipulate human beings. He can even manipulate himself. And of course, the specialist that I know is Lucifer, which has a unique aura that can steal other people's powers. It can steal other people's net, because once he gets a power, the other person cannot use it anymore. Now, why do I bring this up? Because the creatures in the Dark Continent, being as powerful as they are, they must be Nen-based, even though they are creatures and they don't realize that they are using it. In my opinion, they must have their powers, their creation. Let's take an example. The guy, the zombie, the deceiver of hope, endless despair, blah blah blah. He creates a virus that doesn't allow anyone to die. That virus is an actual virus like we got in reality that infects you, or is it a man-created virus? We don't know, but since we are talking about Hunter x Hunter, and this thing with the Nen in the past has been fortified a lot of times, I'm willing to say that all these creatures in the Dark Continent are based on Nen, and probably most of them are special. They have special kinds of aura that allows them to do a whole bunch of things, because the specialist category is the widest of them all. You can have everything in the specialist. It's like the Paramecia from One Piece. You can have anything in Paramecia. Okay. Well, basically that's the chapter. I will attach the Nen classes somewhere in the movie, and I'll probably have a later discussion about this. I have to get my thoughts in order. But yeah, I'm very glad that Togashi is back and we have Hunter x Hunter back. So can't wait for the next chapter. Okay, rate, comment, subscribe guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.